in a market where everyone's talking it's overvalued, you just mentioned there's, it may not be a very happy picture for Indian markets in the next few years. For someone who's just become eligible to invest or someone who's just entering the market, where do you find value? Because, while there are stocks out there that have made returns for other people, their time frame was longer. So how do I, put my strategy forward in a way that a better half of my portfolio is not in losses for the next few years?
Right. So I think the simplest way to think about that is think about sectors which have good companies, but sectors which have been out of fashion for several years, right? The whole area around non-urban India, low-income people, agri-related companies, right, has been out of fashion. And within that ecosystem, there are several good companies. We've invested in Escorts Kubota, but there are other agri-related plays which are high-quality companies. For your generation, for analysts like you, the data is widely available, the annual reports are all available. For journalists like you, you have access to the management teams as well. So there is a multitude of good companies in the agro and non-urban ecosystem. Similarly, whilst IT stocks have now run up considerably, in pharma ancillaries, the ecosystem which supplies ancillaries into pharma, there are several good companies who are waiting to be discovered. And finally, the least fashionable sector for many years was private sector banks, right? And as we discussed, some of the private sector banks are coming back into fashion because they're conservative, strong institutions. So the beauty of the stock market is at any point in time, there'll be things which are in fashion, revved up to high heaven, and there'll be things which everybody has given up on. And as we go through the next couple of years, there'll be some of the darlings of yesterday, say the PSU CapEx plays. A lot of people will give up on them, but they will take to new darlings. The new darlings will come from, I suspect, the strata of India's economy, which caters to non-urban, rural, and people earning below 5 lakhs.
So do you feel like themes like railways and renewables that had quite of a dream run in the last 2 years would see a slowdown? They've seen correction already. Do you see that will continue, or could we see an uptick?
So as I said, anything around government capex, right? I'm not so sure where the money will come from, right? Given that the government wants to consolidate fiscally, which I think is the right thing to do, if you want to consolidate fiscally, you don't have that much money. So where will you find the money to spend on railways? Renewables slightly different. Renewable private sector companies are doing spending. So if the private sector keeps at it and the government gives tax incentives to the private sector to do the renewable piece, it'll be I think that will sustain. We need to see how, given that Trump has no interest in participating in these global climate accords, if he completely says ye sab bakwas hai and forget global climate accord and we keep getting hotter year after hotter year after hotter year, we'll have to see how our corporates deal with it. Because remember, the promoters in India who are investing in renewables, the promoters who are investing in renewables are doing so with a view to make money. They're not doing charity here. And if the world's richest economy says we have no interest in renewables, the business case gets a little tougher. India and America are the world's best performing markets over the last 10 and 20 years. These are the only two markets which have given double-digit dollar returns over 10 and 20 years. But the even better news is not only are these the world's two best markets, these markets have very little correlation with each other, right? So when India struggles, America does well. When America struggles, India does well. And therefore, if you're able to build a portfolio which is, say, half India, half America, it actually gives you much better chance of generating superior long-term returns, right? Just to use 2024 as an example, calendar 24, our market struggled, the Americans did well. I think over the next couple of years, the Indian market is likely to have a tougher time. Over the next couple of years, the American market is likely to have a happier time. So as we go into an economic down cycle, other than buying export-oriented sectors like IT and pharma, it's also worth figuring out how can I invest abroad. In our case, 2 years ago, we started investing abroad through a portfolio that we opened in Gift City. Our team in Gift City invests into America and Europe. And we think that's a great opportunity to consider, right? The rupee is giving up value to the dollar at roughly 3 to 4% per annum since 91.
Correct.
And that naturally means that if you earn, say, 15% in dollars, it becomes more like 18-19% in rupees, right? So beyond looking at export-oriented sectors, in the Indian stock market itself, consider taking a sort of mental flight into America and look at companies, not just the Magnificent Seven, not just Amazon, Microsoft, but go down the batting order and look at high quality American manufacturing companies. Gift City makes that very easy for all of us to do.